Welcome back to the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is Rick Smith.
So a little fun near the Capitol today. Capitol Police Headquarters, in fact. 58-year-old white woman, Carrie Lynn McAtee, Michigan. Thought it'd be a great idea to load up the Silverado and throw some guns in the back and go talk about January 6th to the Capitol Police. And I don't know what goes through someone's head when they go, yep, we're going to take the guns along into the nation's capital and pull up to the police station. Now, my grandfather always had a little bit of advice. He said, if you're going to break the law, only one thing at a time. Only break one law at a time. If you're going to speed, don't be drunk. Seems like common sense. So if you're going to take guns to the Capitol, don't park in a no parking zone, because that's how you get caught. But again, these are not the best and brightest. And here to share some thoughts on, well, the news of today, Oath Keeper founder, I'm wondering how he's singing. That's why I've asked Rick Wilson to come talk with us. Rick is the co-founder of the Lincoln Project. You want to check out their website, lincolnproject.us. Rick, thanks for taking time for us.
I am delighted to be with you.
So if you're criming, Rick, one thing at a time.
You know what? I try to avoid criming to begin with, but always do your criming in serial, not parallel.
Yeah, I mean, I look at this and I go, what is it about folks? Is this a white person problem? Is this a right-wing problem? Is this an arrogance problem? Who thought it was a good idea? I'm just going to take my guns on down to the Capitol Police Department. There's no problem.
There's a belief system now, I think, emerging on the far right and on the Trump right, this emerging authoritarian movement, that all those rules and laws are just sort of guidelines for the little people, and this belief that they're in this existential battle to save the country, that can only be viewed through the prism of weirdo conspiracy theories, and the government's out to go full Sharia, gay, communist, or whatever the hell it is in their lurid imagination. It leads people like that to do stupid shit. And this is not the first person in the last few months who's loaded up the old family truckster with guns and decided they're going to head to Washington to teach those cucks a lesson. Who get stopped at a traffic stop or whatever. It's astounding, and luckily it's like Darwin in action for some of these people.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing that they walk among us, and look, I mean, as we're seeing the people coming out who are being arrested because of what happened on January 6th, you're going, not the best and brightest, not the smartest criminals either, because again, another thing my grandfather always said is, if you don't want your grandmother to read something, don't put it down in writing. And it's amazing that we have so many people who thought their treason and their seditious conspiracy, writing it down was somehow a good idea.
It's that old phrase in politics. It's like, never put anything on paper that you can say in a phone call. Never say in a phone call what the other guy should understand what you mean anyway. And these people are just. A lot of this conspiracy was organized on Facebook and on social media apps, and on platform encrypted apps like Signal that are really solid. Except idiots in the group are saving the messages and they turned them over to the FBI. I mean, it's just, again, but for the grace of the Lord, if these people were smarter villains, we'd be in real trouble.
And I said that about Trump from the very beginning. If he was smarter, this would have gone smoothly. All of this would have, seriously. I mean, I from the beginning, I knew this was going to be a horrible 4 years that he was in office. I knew there was going to be lots of criming going on. The theft, all the stuff was going to happen. I didn't predict a coup attempt at the end, but I knew it was going to be bad. But had they been smarter, I think they'd have pulled it off.
I think you're absolutely right. I think the fact that Trump himself lacks personal discipline on every front, he's unable to execute a strategy because he's distracted by every bright and shiny object. If you had let smart, serious, quiet, professional attorneys handle this, Trump would have been able to do it, I think. I mean, that's a terrifying thought. but because he has got so many cognitive defects, because he's so messed up in the head that he can't stop talking and tweeting and bullshitting all the time. It actually was what saved us. And that's like the sound of a bullet whistling past your ear. Wow, it just missed me.
Yeah.
That's not you're still not in a great position. If somebody's shooting at you, even if it missed you the first time, these people will learn from their mistakes. The next wave of candidates will be smarter. They will be more disciplined. They will be more focused. They will still believe in all the crazy authoritarian stuff that Trump was trying to push. They'll still believe that the election should consist of white landowners, but they'll be smarter about it. They'll package it better. They'll be smoother on TV about it, and that should scare the hell out of people.
No, absolutely. And again, this is predictable. But I look at what came out today. Josh Hawley came out with his bill to ban lawmakers from making stock trades. Something that average everyday working people are going, they shouldn't be allowed to get rich off of getting inside information. They shouldn't be able to do this stuff. It's common sense. And Pelosi just the other day shot herself in the foot stupidly by going against this. You knew this was coming, but it's this kind of stuff you knew was coming that's going to, I think, and I fear, make him look like a sane, reasonable politician when I fear him probably more than just about anyone.
I'm worried about Hawley, Cotton, DeSantis. Those three in particular trouble me a lot because they're all very actually legitimately bright guys. They are not stupid. They are smart people. They are evil, but they are smart. And the degree to which there's a future for them, when Trump goes, it's going to be, you're going to have these people stepping into the breach. And again, they are smarter. They're better presented. They're more able to hold their shit together. They're more able to pretend to be normal people for 5 minutes for the press. And that's dangerous. That's dangerous. I mean, Ron DeSantis is as an extreme a figure that leads any state in this country, but he also goes in front of the cameras like a Harvard and Yale trained lawyer, and says we're just doing this for freedom.
Yeah,
and he comes across less obviously deficient than Trump, less obviously kooky. It's not the crazy that's going to kill us. It's the evil. It's the intentionality.
You're absolutely right. And I look at today, for instance, the voting rights thing I think is pretty much dead in the water now, which means all the things Republicans are doing in Republican states.
It's not going anywhere.
I think what the next election cycle is going to get us are some interesting results.
Yeah, I think, and look, there may be some good news there. Like in Ohio right now, you've got J.D. Vance and Josh Mandel beating each other over the head with baseball bats, trying to prove which one's more batshit crazy. And that may open up a space for a guy like Tim Ryan, who I think the world of Tim Ryan, a smart working class Democrat who doesn't come across as that sort of stereotypical DC think tank wokeness. Like he gets what working people are thinking about more in a more real way. That may open up a space there. Some of the craziness can be turned to advantage, our advantage when we find ourselves, being able to leverage off of, people who are trying to chase each other out to the very ragged edge of craziness.
Yeah, or trying to, like here in Pennsylvania where I'm at, we're going to see the same kind of Trump chasing that you're seeing in Ohio. Where we now got a hedge fund guy coming in. You got Dr. Oz and a whole cavalcade of crazy from Mastriano all on down.
Oh yeah, you guys actually may give the Ohio guys a run for their money by the end of this. And I'm paying a lot of attention to Pennsylvania this year because look, the hedge fund guy that just got in, McCormick, he's very much going to be like the new flavor for Mitch McConnell. Dr. Oz scares them, and he should, because he's look, celebrity candidates, they have a power these days. They have name ID. They've already bought their name ID.
Yeah.
And so it's a scary kind of prospect. And I think it's quite remarkable that Pennsylvania could end up producing a field of MAGAs who are basically at QAnon and worse, which is quite something. I mean, I'm from Florida, man. I know crazy. You're going to get some good crazy on the right side of that.
But here's the thing, Rick. I mean, we've had this. This is not new. I mean, for people who've been paying attention for the last 10 years or since the Tea Party forward, we've been getting crazier and crazier and crazier. I mean, my congressman is Scott Perry. People, oh no, he's such a decent guy. No, the guy was a lunatic when he was in the House of Representatives. He was bad here then. He's only gotten worse in Congress. This has been a march to the extreme for the Republicans for a very long time, and this was a predictable outcome, I think.
Yeah, and I will say this, I left the Republican Party a few years ago. I was one of the first Republican consultants out there to oppose Trump in 2015. And I had to have a hard look at the party I had worked in for 30 years and ask myself, was this all just a lie? Was this all just bullshit? Turned out it was. And, they didn't believe in limited government, free markets, and economic whatever. They believed in raw power. They believed in this cluster of weird, far extreme ideological issues that they never had the juice to play out before, but now they do.
Yeah. But it's
in a lot of states.
But hasn't it always been there? I mean, you go back to, Molly Ivan's statement about Pat Buchanan, his speeches were better than the original German. I mean, the Republican Party's always flirted with this crazy, always courted this crazy. I mean, you as a consultant, do you bear some blame in this too? Because you courted these people in a certain
Listen, of course. And here's the thing. There was a factor in the Republican Party where we had three big divisions in the party. Economic conservatives, religious evangelicals, and foreign policy conservatives. So no part of that three-part equation ever got too much power for too long. And so, when I worked for the elder George Herbert Walker Bush, 41, when David Duke ran for governor of Louisiana, he sent guys like me down there to kick the shit out of him. Because we helped Edwin Edwards win the governor's race, the Democrat. The bumper sticker said, "Vote for the crook. It's important." But the party became less and less diverse in that way, and more about the retention of power, culture warfare, rolling back the clock to some imaginary past. As I like to say, they want to go back to the 50s. A lot of them want to go back to the 1850s.
Yeah.
And so that, with the rise of Fox News and Facebook, it changed the party in a really fundamental level where there were no more decent people. There were no more good guys. There were no more people that represented, because there used to be Republicans who ranged from far right rock rib conservatives to, I elected a Republican governor in Vermont 4 times. The guy was hardly a conservative. He was a pretty squishy rhino New England Republican, barely would be considered a conservative outside of New England. But the party used to have a diversity of opinion across the states and districts. And now it has got one thing.
Yeah.
Strict Trumpism, own the libs, burn it all down.
No, you're absolutely right. No, and I used to remember, and I guess I'm old enough to remember when there were pro-labor Republicans. You can't find one of those today.
No, you really can't. It's no, I can't think of one in Congress for sure.
Maybe maybe Fitzpatrick from Philadelphia. Maybe some Katko from New York. Maybe a
Katko,
little bit.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to lay down in front of a train for anything.
No, not at all.
Not going to be a stand-up guy about it.
So I guess, the last kind of line of questioning is there any hope for Democrats in this? Because they're not getting voting done. They're not getting Build Back Better done. The agenda's done. We're going to probably end up nothing getting done until the next election.
Yeah, here's my advice to Democrats at this point. Now that you're not getting anything done, go do other things. We've got basically 10 months to get to work, get hustling, get registered, get voters registered, and start taking this fight to Republicans by pushing the crazy of the far, far edge of their party onto all of their candidates. Don't let their quote unquote moderates or normal Republicans get away with not having to get the stink of the QAnoners and the crazy people and all the lunatics all over them. That's the key factor here.
Now, I hope they'll take that advice because, look, Republican operatives do this stuff so much better than Democrats do. That no one does it as well as Republican consultants, and that's a compliment to you guys.
Thank you. Well, I'm not a Republican anymore. I'm an independent now, and basically, but you're right. The culture of the Republican political class is just win, baby. Do whatever you got to do.
Yeah, I've been saying for a while, I hope Democrats ball up their digits and get in there and throw a couple of punches, because I've often said, when there's a street fight going on, Democrats will hold your coat.
You know what? I've written 2 books about beating Republicans now, and my second book was called Running Against the Devil, and I said in there, voters want to see some fight in the dog. They want to see a Democrat who is a fighting Democrat, and I think a guy like Tim Ryan could take on that mantle. I think in Pennsylvania, either Fetterman or Lamb could take on that mantle, where they could become people who are seen as standing up, pushing back, fighting hard. And I think there's a huge value to that for Democratic-based voters.
Yeah, John's a good friend of mine, and I'm hoping he does well in the primary, because I think he'd be a great senator here. And I think in the general, I think he would fight a good fight. There's somebody I'd want on my side in a street brawl. So last question then. In looking at the January 6th commission and some of the stuff coming out, do you see this playing out till election time? And will it matter?
I think they're going to drag it out. I think they'll probably try to wrap it up in early summer. That's my guess. No. You know why? They're not going to put people in jail. They're not using their inherent contempt powers. The DOJ is going to the DOJ started this investigation of those jerks they arrested today. They started their investigation of them in January of last year.
Wow.
So, guys like Steve Bannon and Roger Stone and Alex Jones, all these guys, they're probably going to walk free. And that is a tragedy for our country. And I hope the DOJ takes it under advisement that these are dangerous people who are an existential threat to this country.
There you go. Rick, I appreciate the time. Great talking with you. I hope you'll come back and talk to us again real soon.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time. Have a great night.
You too. Good stuff. Rick Wilson, co-founder of the Lincoln Project. Make sure you check out their website, lincolnproject.us. We'll get links out on social media. Quick break. Right back. Stick around.